Alright, morning lads, how you doing? Let's get stuck in, shall we? See what policy decisions we have to make today. Wealth of nations. So are these the chapter headings that they're showing us here? Alright. What do we got? Nobody likes you when you're 23. That's about the time. Alright, what do we got? Requested meeting with Joseph Lankier, Ministry of Defence. Oh, yeah. Alright. Get that coffee. Doing some writing today, so I've got to get powered up for that. Requested meeting of Joseph Lankier. I arrived at the cubic building that housed most of the military command that resided in Holsword. The grey and brutalist structure looked daunting. Appropriate. I never liked this building. It always made me feel like I was standing under the concrete foot of a giant getting ready to crush me. It made me feel small, and I never quite got used to the feeling even after this many years. At the entrance I was greeted Freudian slip there. Greeted by Joseph and his military entourage of young officers. Welcome to the Ministry of Defence, Mr. President. Let us go to my office. We walked from corridor to reach the office. On the way we were met with high-ranking officers as well as privates. Every time one of these soldiers saw me, they stopped and saluted me. When we finally arrived at Joseph's office, his entourage saluted us and left. He closed the door and took a back seat. Where is Vulcan? He usually partakes in all military meetings. This must be something serious, especially since you invited me here. Let's begin. What is the matter? Alright, display a little foresight. I think that's a good option. It is important that you don't get misinformed on this matter by reading Twitter. Vulcan has another agenda. Military infighting. This could be problematic. He leaned back and interlocked his hands. The situation with Rumberg is getting worse, and if it wasn't for our investments in the military, I would be even more concerned. I'll make sure it won't come to that. How? We are prepared for the worst, aren't we, Joseph? Your tone doesn't inspire confidence in our defensive capabilities. Alright, let's give him a little bit of the stick and see how he responds, right? I imagine this fellow's a bit of an anvil. He probably won't rise to the bait, but might as well test his mettle while we're here. Our projected capability in the future should restore your confidence, but we need to pass several changes to achieve a better situation. Since we refrained from modernising our military, the traditional force structure would have to match the enemy's numbers. Rumberg has superior numbers, which we can't ever hope to match. The terrain is in our favour, but once we cram hundreds of thousands in the mountains, logistics will collapse. Mountain warfare. It will be a bloodbath for both sides. Yes, that's correct. So my plan is, so long as we can impose one-to-ones, they probably won't actually go for it. I'd rather prevent a war altogether. Yeah. Well, so would we all. What's that got to do with anything? Whatever is necessary for our survival will be done when the time comes. Isn't Vulcan the supporter of quantity over quality approach? With no disrespect to him, but he thinks that you can outgun the enemy, but when fighting a larger force, outsmarting them is what matters. Well, if we're fighting them in the mountains, then that mountain warfare multiplies the defensive factor. So the defense always has the advantage. The defense has some advantages, and in the mountains that's especially true, because the mountains naturally channel people into these long corridors. So, theoretically, if there are mountains here, let's go back to the actual border. If there are mountain ranges here, disgusting. If there are mountain ranges here, you can't see my hand. If there are mountain ranges on the border, then having them stacked with our ferocious partisans, I mean, that should be pretty good. like I say, the biggest geopolitical problem with this map is that it doesn't show the mountains. It makes it really difficult to calculate what we should be doing. I've been treating all of this area here as a plain, just open plains. Now, this answers a question from an earlier video. If they have such a numerical advantage and it's just open territory, why haven't they invaded us already? Like, why wait for your opponent to grow stronger before starting the war, if there's going to be a war, which there is? Well, the answer is because it's full of mountains stacked with our ferocious partisans, who will gladly give their lives for the glorious nation of Swordlandia, or whatever we're called. Alright, that's reassuring, but still, 1-1, they still might make it worth it. They still might decide that it's worth it, right? They might go, oh, we can permanently put a whole sword in a cupboard if we take this mountain range, and it gives them the opportunity to attack. So if there's a mountain range with a state on either side of it, them and us, and we hold the mountains, but we don't have the logistics to be able to invade, then, okay, they don't have too much to fear from us. But on the other hand, it's a stalemate because they can't get through the mountains past us, past our partisans, right? So that would explain why things are balanced the way that they are. With greater forces, that's good. That means that they have to choose to sacrifice a greater proportion of their total military strength when they drive themselves onto our spears. Now, once we add extra technology to that, that's going to double down on both of the advantages that we have already. If you're interested in this exact problem, look up the current geopolitical tensions between India and China in a region of the country called the Chicken's Neck. Mountain warfare is brutal, man. Alright. As a result of the recent deal with Valen, we have started reinforcing the border. Forward scouts have been deployed and we have started moving our divisions. Rest assured we're ready for anything that will come from the other side of the border. We will be providing our reports to you. Excellent. And with a military build-up here, right? Ignore Valen. They're irrelevant, right? With a military border here, with a military build-up here in Bergia, if the forces of Rumburg attack, as I expect they will, and drive to here to cut off all of Argenland, and then start heading south, we have optionality, right? We can move up our infrastructure to here and just go straight to the siege to fight that way. Or we can try to get Valen involved to attack this way, but if they don't, right, we can take their territory. Or we can move to here to reinforce Narbel, and then across to Estort here. And then we, from Estort, if they drive here and then try to drive south from Estort, we can threaten all of their supply lines this way, right? Makes it a real priority for them to do something about this. Now, assuming that this is protected by mountains and that this border is here because the mountains are here, presumably this line here guards the area where our mountains end, and then this is like flat land, right? Krimsrat, let's assume this is like Crimea, right? A big wheat field. Like Ukraine, a big wheat field. How long is it going to take for our forces to get from here to there? Given that it's 100, 200, 300 kilometers. 300 k's, or on road, 100, let's say 150 k's from the border to Dyer, and then what are the red lines? There was a way of figuring this out. I don't know. Anyway, some sort of logistical thing that will help out, and we should be able to get there like that. So this build-up, although it's not necessarily in the primary position, it could be really useful. Rumburg will probably sell it as an invasionary force, like we want to close this gap or something like that. But, like the old philosopher said, right? F him. Okay. And the scouts are in place, which is great. We'll be providing our reports to you. I don't think we will have any problems, but stay alert. We don't know what we're dealing with. I don't want anyone in. Do not let a single deserter pass our borders. Try to be lenient if possible. There might be people who are simply trying to escape war among them. We don't know what we're dealing with yet. That is correct. We are always ready for any situation, Mr. President. What a hard man. Let's move on to our main topic. Oh, okay. The mandatory conscription law has become a matter of discussion, and we need to strike a decision whether to keep it or remove it. The fact that the conscription gives us a large reservist pool that can cover a larger front line, but these troops lack the morale and quality to be offensive elements. That's fine, we're going to be fighting a defensive war. My argument would be to remove conscription if our military can stand on its own 2 feet without them. If we are going to have strong allies, why do we need conscripts? Not sure if I agree with that. A strong knock on the door was heard, and the chief of the armed forces, Vulcan Kruger, walked in quickly with a frown. Far out. This guy looks like a real realist. What is the meaning of this, Joseph? Why have I not been invited? What is going on here? You are overstepping and interrupting a personal meeting between me and the president. Vulcan deliberated the situation. I see what is going on here. I mean no disrespect, but I am leading the ground operations, and I must be informed of any strategic changes. Vulcan has a point. The military needs to be on the same page on any changes. Well, now you're here. What's your opinion on conscription? The Minister of Defence is your superior, and so am I. Besides, this is a private meeting. Yeah, I mean, the ego wants to flex on him, but... what's your opinion on conscription? The matter is rather simple from my point of view. We keep our traditional army doctrine. It is not devoid of disadvantages. However, at the end of the day, Rumburg has a larger army, air force and navy. Our conscripts... Okay, well that's good to know. Imagine how different this game would have gone if I had known that. If that had been like the introductory statement to this game. But the strength of the game is that it balances all of the political factors that a person faces, right? This is not just a simple geostrategic military competition. There's also all of the domestic politics stuff that is going on, and in that sense it more accurately resembles the actual polity that politicians have to deal with. However, at the end of the day, Rumburg has a larger army, air force and navy. A larger navy, but how are they going to get here? Oh, not you. They must have a warm water port somewhere way up here off map. And assuming the Agnolians let them past because they won't start. Pardon me, because they won't start a war with them. They'll come down here. And that's when Duru Island will play its part, right? As they come down. See, here's the issue. If they come down here, if they try to attack Lockhaven to support here, that's good. We'll station our navy here. We'll have Duru here. They'll have to come through either of these, and we can hit them from 3 sides as they come through. That will give us the advantage. I don't think they'll be able to break this. However, if they want to get here, what they can do is bring their forces down to here and shell the capital, right? And then we have to make a decision. Do we want to try to pincer them off this land and bring a navy this side? Sketchy. Very sketchy. Depends a lot on what the coastal defences around this region are like. If we actually have big anti-naval guns stationed here, and also we can bring the naval forces in, then maybe. Problematic. Our conscripts will fill the much needed weaknesses we have. Agreed, there is a place for reservists. We don't share the same opinion. This is a modern age and requires a modern army. Well, if I thought that, I would have gone with the modernisation program. Throwing bodies at a problem never solved it. Not sure if this is the right approach. Historically inaccurate. This doctrine has worked for decades, so far. No reason to change it. I think the generals have a point. Agreed. There is a place for reservists. That seems like the moderate option. We are on the same page on this situation. Let's move on. I would ask you to consider... what? Keep mandatory conscription. We need every single able body to defend the nation. Remove mandatory conscription. It is time to have a professional force of willingly enlisted soldiers. I would love for this to be correct for us. This is really what I want, right? A professional force, that would be great. But at the moment, this is not the right time, right? The timing would be wrong. If I pivoted to this option too early, that would leave us with a small force of underarmed and underfunded. Is that what I'm going for? No, but anyway, with a force that is not capable or not big enough to keep out a Rumburg invasion. In fact, the correct manoeuvre would probably be to have both of these. We want to have a large army of lightly trained and poorly equipped guys that are cheap to keep, and a small professional force of special operations forces that are highly trained and highly equipped, so that we can have our militia strength men just holding the whole border in the mountain ranges, and when they face opposition which is overwhelming, that they're incapable of dealing with, we send in the special operations guys to resolve the issue and then leave, so that the militia strength guys can return the border to a stalemate again. Keep conscription. Mr. President, but you heard your superior, Yosef. He threw an angry look at Vulcan before turning to me. As you wish. We also have to decide how exactly we spend our additional remaining funds in the military. In June, we decided to expand the military. The military thanks the administration for the extensive support. We need to decide what branch we would want to expand. Well, that's simple, the army. Navy, pointless. Air Force. I mean, an air expansion could be worthwhile. I would invest in fighters in that case, but I think it's just going to be army. Like, I could look at all of the reasons and all that kind of thing, but realistically, strategically speaking, the army would be the safest choice. Well, I agree. However, the air and naval forces would do well with expansion too. Which branch should we expand? Expand the army. We need more soldiers to defend our nation. As you wish. The changes will be implemented this month and finished at the end of November. Good. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your time. I left the Ministry of Defence and returned to the Maroon Palace. Okay. Overview panel updated. Government budget increased. Hell yeah. Alright, what caused the budget increase? Not anything to do with the decisions that we just made, right? Or is it because we reduced unemployment? See, the more that we can draw off guys onto other professions, like through conscription, the less labour there is available for other things, driving the minimum free market wage up. Alright, good. So with those expansions and keeping conscription and with the news I'm out in the mountains, I'm feeling much more confident about our possibility of driving off the inevitable Rumburg invasion. And for those of you who are saying can't be sure that Rumburg will invade, geostrategically speaking, we have to act as though they will, because the incentives point in that direction. Right. Expanded army. The large expansion plan has nearly doubled the army size, which is now capable of overwhelming most of our neighbours. Sweet heavenly peace. Remember, peace comes from a balance of power, right? When the opponent can't gain an advantage from us through military means, that's when peace is ensured. Diplomatic attempts at peace are almost always a failure if they're not backed up with the strategic competitive strata, the layer underneath them, enforcing the incentives. Okay. That's right. That's right, I went for a train ride in the other video. That was great. Enlisting more soldiers and equipping them with standard gear. Keep military conscription mandatory. Good. Okay, I'm feeling good, lads. Budget has returned back into the black, and the military is now in a situation where I feel like the Rumburgians probably wouldn't invade. So can we now pivot to other priorities? Probably. We're in March for equal education in Anrika. Good. You can have it when you can force me to do it. Yeah, alright, here we go. Same. Read the report from Yen. Police raid on young swords. Good, doing their job. What do we got here? We've got another briefing over here first. Red youth members arrested. Good. Alright, so 1 for 1. Very fine. Yeah, generally speaking, the enforcement of the anti-youth league legislation has been balanced. So, I mean, what more could you ask for? Fantastic. Okay, briefing on the current economic situation. Now, the budget has gone from -1 to +1, so it's an increase of 2. So, notice the economy hasn't moved though. Really like to get that up. Hopefully, like I would spend ourselves back down to -1 or even -2 again through infrastructure programs if I could get this economy bar up. Maybe this will give us the opportunity for that, lads, hey? What do you reckon? The team gathered in Holsword at the Ministry of Economy to conduct an economy overview meeting to go over the current situation. The building was constructed in 1892 by Heron Volt. Oh, clunk. One of the, if not the, most famous architect in Swordland. The building looked simple and elegant with a few of his signature domes spread out over the roof. Walking through the large bronze doors at the entrance, I was led by... Pardon me, coffee says hello. I was led by 2 assistants upstairs into a meeting room. Everyone stood up as I entered the room, buttoning their suit jackets. Welcome, Mr. President. Please take your seats. As you all know, today we'll go over our economic status. Let's begin without any further ado. Simon Hull, and we're straight to the point. How are we doing in terms of the infrastructure? The success of the first infrastructure project is already showing a positive effect on the economy. Hell yeah! I just opened that train yesterday and already we got bumped. Mikhail started grinning as he leaned forward. Thanks to the high-speed railway, our 2 most important cities are linked faster. We are expecting quick economic growth in Greater Holsword and Gelsland. Nice. The Business Council is satisfied with this infrastructure improvement. Tick. It was a gargantuan effort from our side in the Ministry of Economy. We can do much more to improve our economy, and we will because our work is far from over. That is correct. Positive results show we're on the right path towards economic growth. Also correct. Your efforts are noted. Everyone who has contributed is greatly appreciated. Yep, no. Got to lock back in. 1 pat, and then back on task. You are correct. The subjects of tax reform and many more await future debate. Aha! Let's start to hear the stats on our deal with Valen. Our trade deal with Valen has increased our imports and exports by 60% in 1 month, which is a considerably good number. Yes! Hell yeah. 60% increase. And is that trade volume total, or is that financial volume? Anyway, point is, fantastic. And we have tariff-free fuel from them now, so we're getting heaps of oil in there. It was a good idea with Valen. This was a dangerous gamble, but I'm glad it played off. Perfect. Was it a good idea to align with Valen? We can't make that claim yet. It was a dangerous gamble, but I'm glad it paid off. Well, it is a dangerous gamble, and we haven't figured out whether or not it's paid off yet. Okay, perfect. Regardless, the numbers are clear. I must say I still can't get behind a trade deal with Valen, especially when it involved a military cooperation. I feel like we've made a contract with the devil. Well, me too, Edith. Victor Schmolak is not a bad man. I'm pretty sure he is. We are reaping the benefits. We will come on top here. What is done is done. I hope this was the right decision. There is certainly no use deliberating that decision now. Increased trade has improved our economy. I see this as a reason for celebration. Absolutely right. On a side note, consumer spending has decreased further due to a pessimistic mood caused by issues with our economy. Consumer spending has decreased further due to a pessimistic mood caused by the issues with our economy. Interesting. Moods are rarely balanced on actual issues, but if we figure out what those issues are and solve them, that would be good. But in terms of inspiring consumer confidence, that's just a matter of being really cheery, going out in public and going, hell yeah, this economy is going to boom, lads. Get in now, make your money, invest, let's do this. And then, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? This is discouraging as we did the best we could thus far. I'm confident we will turn this mood around with adaptive projects and solutions. That is correct. Good to hear, we will do better. While I agree that our first attempts were not successful, we still might have economic opportunities left. What? What were our first attempts? Excuse me, feeling a bit biological this morning. What were our first attempts? Perhaps he's talking about the ones that the previous administration tried. Oh, sorry lads, you shouldn't have to put up with that nonsense. It isn't good for our reputation as the people expected quick solutions. We are running out of time. Simon checked his large dossier. Some good news, we currently have a budget surplus. That means we can pursue many investments which could drive our economy upwards. I present you the draft documents of economic expansion soon. Excellent news. I agree, with the extra money there is much more we can do. As per the latest data, unfortunately the recession seems to be lingering. No matter the cost, we will have to increase our economic development rates, otherwise I am sad to say that we will be doomed. Look, it's old news, mate. Thanks for letting me know that you're up to where we're at. We need to use the opportunities we are shown. Trade deals and infrastructure improvements always help. Mr. President, I will be very clear. Simon took off his glasses and put them on the table, and he looked me straight in the eye. You already know this, and I don't want to frighten you, but if we are unable to stop this recession, we are heading towards an economic catastrophe that was never ever seen before in Swordland. No, in the entire Eastern Merkaba. I can't even begin to imagine how we would survive that. None of us want to see Swordish people starve while the state is unable to provide for its citizens. Well, then we need to get to work. Exactly, he put on his glasses. Now, to help with the recession, there are a few possibilities I want to outline. We have a surplus, but regardless, even if we have to get into debt, we need to increase our economic development. I've prepared a few project proposals. There are two main distinctions in between these projects. It's either about continuing our infrastructure improvements or investing in increasing production. Can we not do both of those? I wish to increase the infrastructure. Yes, now that we have a really strong corridor between the two primary economic centres, we need to branch from each of those centres out into the rural areas to attempt to develop them. And what's the other one? Increasing production. I also want to increase production, but I want the increased production to come about from market demand, not from let's spend money on making heaps of stuff and then decide what to do with it later. If we continue on our infrastructure, that would lift us up to advanced country levels. However, our industrial production suffered and also needs a boost to return to pre-recession levels. There is of course the option to not take any risks related to our budget. Who do you think you're playing with, mate? The plans for these projects will be finalised soon. For now, I can provide preliminary information. Which one would you like to hear about first? Alright, let's do infrastructure. That's the one I'm leaning towards. That's why I'm doing it first. Clicking on heads. Okay. Our infrastructure, we have two projects. One is the Benfey International Airport, and the other is the Morna Port. Benfey. Right. Yeah, that's a tourist thing. Alright, so we will go with the Morna port here. I thought this port here was the one that had low volume. It needed to be upgraded. Well, neither of those are the infrastructure projects that I want. What I want is to make absolutely certain, like a train from here to Perla. That'd be great. Or a train from here to Dyer and then out to each of the Bergian sort of little centres for the purposes of doubling down on the agricultural investments that we did in this region. It's good that Dyer is connected here, but one here would be good. Yeah, and then branch into all of those. And what else? Maybe expand those out. Oh, this one's kind of already connected. Is that really necessary? Yeah, that'd be good. And we've already got a train out to Valgan. That's good. Those are too little. Benfey's too far away. Yeah, alright, I'm not super happy about those options. Benfey is growing at a rapid pace and would benefit highly from an international airport. Much more money to be made there too. Alright, good. The Morna port will boost trade and improve the flow of goods towards Holsord, because the Conrad port is too small in capacity and extension is blocked by the Navy headquarters. So it would go here. Whoops. Here. Yeah, okay. Economic growth in Benfey could be propelled. It still has yet to reach its full potential. Morna would be a more significant city with a port, and the advanced logistical connection to Holsord would be better utilised. Okay, I'm leaning towards the port. Why? Because it's connected to the quote-unquote real economy. Whereas, so it could still be used if there was a Rumburg invasion. Whereas, probably tourism would drop off entirely. So, making lots of money in peacetime, good, but kind of fragile. So even if there's less money to be made in the port, we will take that option because the profits are more durable and reliable. Is that the correct rationale? Advanced logistical connection to Holsord would be better utilised. That is good. Okay, yep, that's what we're going to do, lads. We're going to go with number 2. I would go into debt in order to expand the other one if it gave me the option of both though. I don't think investing in Morna with a port would do much to change our economic prospects. Goods are flowing from other places just as fast. Increased imports and exports on a more accessible path to Holsord is very lucrative in my opinion. Time is money. Oh, well, make up your bloody mind, lads. You can't tell me it both would and wouldn't do it and just make me flip a coin on it. I agree with Edith. The Morna port will mean a great deal of trade and improve the economy of the Lauren region too. Okay. What are the projects that could boost our production? One is Sarna Agricultural Zone, and now there is Conrail Industrial City. Conrail Industrial City could be good. And Sarna Agricultural Zone. Well, I've already invested in agriculture in Bergia, so I'm going to scratch that one just for the moment. An industrial zone in Conrail. That could be really good. Increased industry means in wartime we could pivot the industry across to arms production, and that would be useful. I would really like to have a domestic arms industry, actually. That would be fantastic. Conrail Industrial City. Okay, so the options are port or industry. Trade volume versus industrialisation. I see the Suzerain agricultural zone investment as a higher priority due to the fact that farmers in Bergia were the most hit by the recession. Yeah, but we've already got investments going there. Suzerain also is a much poorer city than Conriart. The Conriart Industrial City project has the potential to increase manufacturing in the greater Holsword region by a large amount. Suzerain is a much poorer city indeed. It deserves any investment it can get from the government. Okay, true. Conriart would benefit from a larger manufacturing industry. It would bring the city to a position where it could rival Lockhaven. I'm going to go with industrial manufacturing. Is that the right move? Yes it is. I'm starting to hit the point where I'm feeling like I'm over-specialising on our two major ones. I really want to expand the infrastructure out. Suzerain. Okay, no, we'll do one more round of doubling down on the centrals, and then we'll move out to the rest. We should invest and develop Conriart to diversify the economy in Greater Holsword, which would mean a great deal. Manufacturing investments are the kind of investments we need for a healthy economy and our currency strength. Conriart is a developing city with a lot of potential, while Suzerain and the Bergia region are lacklustre. I have enough information. Very well, that covers our subjects today. I have a couple more economy-related questions. How strong is our currency? Currency health was improving post-elections, but has unfortunately stagnated. There are no losses in comparison to pre-election levels. Inflation has dropped by 2 percentage points. Good. How's the mood at the NBC? The business leaders in the council are nervous about the lack of tangible economic improvements in the country. They're holding on to their investments until they feel it is safe to invest their reserves in new hires or branches. Hopefully the industrial expansion will do that. What can we expect in terms of our trade situation? Success in reaching a trade deal has boosted our position as a regional trade route and increased the likelihood of potential trade partners. Good. We have imported and exported more across the board with all countries except Rumburg. Yeah, well, they can go to hell. Thank you for the information. Like I'm going to sell them anything. I know enough now. Thank you for the information. That concludes the meeting. Have a good day all. Goodbye until next Mr. Tozer. Yeah, blah, 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 blah. All right. Well, that was successful. Conriart. Industrial expansion. See, if we were more of an import or export-led, if we were an export-led economy, then the port would have been the way through. But due to the amount of industrial development, I think having an industrial upgrade will have positive effects across the entire economy, which might not necessarily show in the metrics until they're a long day down the line. They might not even get recognised. But I think that is the right way to go. You think about every farmer in this region within a couple of 100 kilometres is going to have their industrial agricultural equipment, get cheaper by 25%, say, from having a massive tractor factory in Conriart or something like that. And that money will be reinvested into efficiencies that can double down on themselves. Alright, let's do the news. Holsword Post. Valen border reinforcements announced. Correct. Housewives march to defend Swedish tradition in Anrika. Well, good chicks. Radical protesters. But yeah. Rain closes the doors on refugees. Radicals always know about something. Well, 3 from G Politico. Alright. Operation Bear Trap begins. President Schmolak has declared the start of Operation Bear Trap against the separatist militant group that plagues northern Valen. The Bludish Freedom Front, Rumburg, Agnolia and Lesbia has condemned the mobilisation order, citing the war crimes committed during the previous assault against the Bludish people, while Swordland has not made any comments on the matter. Watchtower of Human Rights said that they will be following the developments closely for any infractions on human rights violations. Good, so we've got to pay attention to them. An intergovernmental human rights organisation made up of roughly 1,400 staff established around the globe. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, well, they seem competent. So, amid spiking tensions with Agnolia, Volksland increases their naval presence. The reports from Eastern Merkaba show 2 Volkslandian aircraft carriers patrolling the Markian Sea around the Helgeland island, a massive show of naval force amid spiking tensions with Agnolia. Stahlport could interpret it as a provocation in the region, say experts. All those experts need to get with the program. It's not a provocation, it's an escalation ladder, and they're doing brinksmanship. The sudden and simultaneous appearance of the 2 carriers, accompanied by Navy cruisers, destroyers and aircraft, comes as Volksland escalates criticism of Agnolia's increasing control over Helgeland and its increasing forays around the island. Okay, Swordland's diplomacy disappoints. A new diplomatic initiative presented by the Foreign Ministry has led to a major disappointment when President Rain went to Stahlport only to come back empty-handed. Now, you may be disappointed, but it was the right move. It would have cost us money and bought us a war. The meeting with Prime Minister Hurtin seems to have gone negatively, diminishing the chances for closer ties between the 2 countries. In a time when Swordland needs more allies, this comes as news of sorrow. Yeah, I would like to have them as an ally, but frankly they're a liability. Okay, I've got some policy briefs. No, just reports. Read the report from Suzerain, polio cases, and that's bad. Pro-Bludish protest. Alright, just tick this box. Yep. And what do we got here? Diplomatic communique. No, also a report. Van Hurten warns about Volkslandian presence. He showed his wishes to have a stronger naval cooperation with Swordland in the future. Not a chance, pal. I wonder if we could 2v1 Volksland with our current current naval forces. See, if we could, that would keep Volksland in check. But then, if Rumburg invaded Agnolia from the north, what would we do about it? Just take land here? I don't think we're in any position to get involved in naval warfare. Okay. Report. Education. Excuse me. Education privatisation update. The Ministry of Education has reported that the privatisation effort for education has been going well and that they are on track to meet targets. The capital received from the privatised schools and competing private investors has already shown results in the form of new schools and improved quality of education in most major cities. Fantastic. Tick, tick, and tick. Alright, and investment projects which we could start. Yes. Alright, which one are we going to do? Conrail Industrial Zone, that's the one we chose. Fantastic. Government budget decreased. Sweet. And what have we got here? Budget allocation of healthcare. I was having my afternoon tea in my office and going through newspapers. One of the headlines piqued my interest. It read, polio crisis in Valen. So the fact that our budget went up and down gives me a lot of faith that this is actually working correctly, right? We can actually invest in things, up the economy, get the money, spend it. So, maybe we'll go even deeper in debt, eh, lads? Before I start reading, I hear a couple of knocks. Pascal entered, followed by Lucien. Mr. President, it's time for the scheduled healthcare meeting. Alright, please take your seats. They have taken their seats and Pascal produced documents from his suitcase. He put them on the table. Pascal looked at the newspaper I was reading. Very troubling news from Valen, Mr. President. I have just returned from a meeting with our top scientists on the matter of polio. It seems to be spreading. Indeed, it might have dire consequences for the region. That is correct. What I was told by our researchers was that the current infection rate, there will soon be millions of people affected by polio, so we have notified all our healthcare staff, especially the ones close to the Valen border. Unfortunately, those are also more rural areas where we lack equipment and staff. We need to be ready for any possibility. I doubt it is that serious yet. Regardless, back to the topic, Mr. Benevol. Pascal put on his reading glasses and went through the documents. He didn't say anything for a whole minute. Yes, of course, let's start. He put the papers down, cleared his throat, and looked at me. In general, the Ministry is somewhat content with the budget decision that was made. At least we didn't get a cut. But I'm still happy that the administration continues to support healthcare at the same level as before, although this limits our options significantly. Our healthcare services, our health... Jeepers. Bit of a tongue twister there. Alright, caffeine is starting to hit. Our health services seem to be working fine and don't require more investment. I'm sure we can improve what we have. We will have to make do with what we have. I want you to lead the way to solutions in healthcare. It was not a decision that I made lightly. I am sure, Mr. President, I'm not questioning that, but I don't see many ways out of this particular situation. We need funds to bring improvements. As you know, I've been preparing a new privatisation program that would create funds through selling of unused ministry property and some extra taxes. It might not go against our strategy to promote a market economy, but I'm personally against privatisation of government services. Such vital services must be under state control. So what's he suggesting? Sell unused property. Good, well that seems worthwhile. And some extra taxes. No, I'm not going to implement new taxes. Aside from creating additional funds, there is a long-term problem with privatisation in a country like Swordsland. What are those problems? People are already lacking proper healthcare, even though it is free. What happens when you privatise? Prices increase as state hospitals close due to sales. We will prevent the worst case scenarios. There needs to be healthy structural improvements in this sector. This is not Arcasia nor Lesbia. You are talking about Swordsland, in which the healthcare is free for now. We have people who have their lives depending on a service that is free to them. Messing with that structure will definitely hurt us politically in the future, that I know for sure, but the choice is yours, Mr. President. We will promote privatisation and allow the private sector to invest and buy government health services. We'll keep healthcare in state control. We don't allow any private involvement that could endanger core health services. Alright, here's the situation. I want to privatise, but at the time, when there is just about to be a plague, it is not the right time to do a massive restructuring. If it wasn't for the plague, I would do it, but because of the plague, I am not going to. As you wish, the health services shall remain in public hands. Good choice. That is all then. Very well. Fruitful meeting nevertheless, nice and short. Thank you for the meeting. And those two buggered off. Righto. Read the report from Dyer. Urson versus Swordsland case. A landmark court filing has been appealed to the Court of Appeals today and is under review by the Minister of Justice. Lawyer and Bluetish civil rights activist Esheval Urson sued the Dyer municipality led by Felix Bron for the infringement of constitutional rights regarding a religious expression. The case questions the legality of the Religious Harmony Bill, the separate legal treatment of the Bluetish and Dyer, and by extension the whole of Bergia. Wonder if I should politically meddle in that to make sure it fails. Alright, what a radical complaining about. Blah blah blah. Geopolitico. Thousands protest the new governor of Helgeland. Thousands in Helgeport took to the streets to protest the Agnolian government's increased control over Helgeland's administration following the appointment of a new governor. Demonstrators protested the Agnolian government's decision to appoint a governor from the Agnolian mainland without holding any local elections on the island. Valkslandian leader, Chancellor Hagel, was quick to condemn the decision. The majority of the residents of the island still claim Valg heritage and have direct Valkslandian descendants. Experts say that the increasing tensions between Agnolia and Valksland prompted the Agnolian authorities to make this decision with the aim to increase their control over the island. Interesting. Okay, and is that nothing up there? Oh, hold up, I saw another arrow. What was it pointing at? These guys. Alright. Valen Border Report. Chief of the Armed Forces, Valgan Kruger, reported that the Vizhek Armed Forces are moving north towards the town of Vernon. On their way, many Bludish villages were assaulted and the initial reports indicate a high death toll. As they are approaching close to the border, Vizhek army's movement will be observed closely. Many displaced refugees from the battles have been seen moving towards the Sordish border. They have been turned around forcefully to ensure the complete defence of the border. Alright. Troubling. Talk with Friends Richter on the upcoming vote. The preparations for the new constitution were nearly complete. Soon we're going to propose it to the GNA, a huge step for our administration, but we desperately needed more votes. Therefore I invited Friends Richter to talk to him about the upcoming vote to ensure that the PFJP supports the new constitution. He held the key to our success. We met in the presidential office during the evening. He arrived in his signature navy blue suit and gifted me a box of famous Arcasian chocolates before settling down on the couch. It's good to have you here, Mr. Richter. Likewise. He took out a small notepad and looked at it. I have to say I'm surprised by the proposal you prepared for the new constitution, but I really do not understand your reasoning behind some of the changes here. I thought we were on the same page. Don't get me wrong, I like the draft as I have stated earlier during the reform committees. I'm just honestly surprised by your decision to decrease the electoral threshold and the term limits. We were nearly sure that you would not listen to the reformist demands. How does the USP feel about that, Mr. President? Is this a political suicide, or did you actually manage to unite the party under this? The party listens to what I say. USP is an agreement, it's up to you to support it now. Why would you care if this was a political suicide for me? I am tempted to say the juicier option here. Yeah, right, let's go for it. I cannot afford to be supporting another failed president with their reforms. I am the opposition leader after all, Mr. President. People expect me to be hard against you. I've been campaigning for a new constitution for years, and I cannot just let it vanish because of Tarquin Sol's party again, no offence intended. Are you aware that the old guard has been reaching out to even the members of my party? I hope you're doing something to contain this mess. My hands are tied, we just need to focus on the upcoming vote. Who would guess? Of course they are, but we shouldn't worry. You're saying the PFJP is bought? What? No. I'm saying the negative circumstances might be stacked against you without your knowledge, that's it. But even if we pass the first vote, how are you going to persuade the judges to vote for this? Surely they will consider this proposal as anti-Sol. If we unite together, they will be forced to support us. I'm not so sure about that. Yeah, I don't believe that, obviously. I'm just saying that to try and get his votes. I'm not so sure about that. Sure, there are a few like-minded judges in the court, but it will be up to the centrists and also has them locked up. If we're doing this, we have to make it count. I hope that you will succeed, Mr. Rain. I respect what you're doing inside the USP. I will do my best to flip the judges in the court as well. You can count on the PFJP votes. Nice. I just want your promise that you will give us proper credit and finally do something about the unbalanced representation of our party on state television. Oh yeah, pal, don't worry about that. 100%. You're in the clear. Your party has been in power for decades and has done whatever it could to diminish our chances. If one USP president is finally deciding to do proper reforms with the support of the opposition, we expect him to properly acknowledge the wrongs that has been done and finally act against the solist state apparatus in full force. Yeah, but that's because you don't understand what the state apparatus is important for achieving right now. I can't deny the wrongs that has been done. Of course, we're in this together. That's great to hear. I hope I can rely on you. In the upcoming vote, we expect your party to fully support this, and PFJP will be giving its full support. Happy to cooperate with you. USP will not be a problem. Alright, do you think I've buttered him up enough? Hopefully I can be so conciliatory in appearance that he won't move against me politically too hard, even though that's his job. You know, if he's getting done what is required by what he thinks is manipulating me, then... I mean, we're not going to turn a political opponent into a political ally, are we? Very likely not. Probably he's also just playing the kind game, And as soon as the circumstances change, it will be back to playing the hard game again. Yeah, alright, was there something else? I'd like to ask you something about things I've heard about you. Interesting. What things? There are so many things said about me that I can't keep track of them anymore. What's your relationship with Dwight Walker? There are some rumours circulating about your closeness to him. I received intelligence saying that you made a deal with Arcasia and that you tried covering your tracks. What do you say? Oh, it did come to that after all. Well, I will enlighten you about the context of our relationship. As you know, the downfall of President Alfonso was abrupt. He was the only progressive hope we had in the USP. Our brief alliance with him accomplished great things, but we ran into a very worrying revelation. In our last meeting with the USP, before the USP abandoned him, President Alfonso said that Sol was not gone and still pulled the strings behind his back. He was suspicious about a conspiracy? Against his reformist agenda, and he feared everything would collapse around him, and it did. Afterwards, the party voted you in. I don't think it was a coincidence, Mr. Rain. You think Sol and the old guard orchestrated all of this? Yes, they knew about Alfonso's reforms and would cripple their strength and remove them from power, so they removed him first. After seeing the clear picture that the Solis deep state was real and had extensive influence that they can topple presidents, he looked down and for a second and continued. We are in this together, so I will be honest. I lost hope that Swordland would achieve the liberties and democracy that we've worked so hard for, with Solism still being intact and powerful, so I decided to act. I hope you haven't done anything to compromise our country. Of course not. I knew that I had to play by their rules when I was contacted by the Arcasian senator and one of Arcasia's biggest tycoons, and I decided to agree to their meeting in hopes to receive support. Let him continue. I flew to Arcasia and I eventually met President Walker. He offered political and economic support for me and my party, asking us to lead Swordland into the democratic sphere and become a member of ATO, but I couldn't agree to his exploitative requests that would have crippling effects on our economy. Well, if we became a member of ATO, why would they want us to be poorer? This story doesn't hold up. I told him I was only there to increase economic cooperation and nothing else. I did not get their support, nor did anything illegal. To this day I feel ashamed to have gone to the feet of Arcasia, but at least I've managed to stop myself from becoming the very thing I've been fighting against. I am grateful that you're telling me all this. Thanks for taking it so well. We must always be honest to one another. You have the authority to investigate this and potentially prosecute me for it. I gave you my trust with this, and I hope I have yours too. I will always acknowledge my wrongs and keep fighting for a better future. I believe we are not that different in this. I appreciate it, but I'll need to think more about this. That's fair. Anyway, if you don't want to discuss this topic further, you can tell me later sometime. I don't have anything to hide. I'll get going now if you'll excuse me. Thanks for the meeting. We shook hands. It's nice to have a president that we can finally have a dialogue with, and he laughed. I'll see you in the historic vote. Have a nice evening for now. He left the room. Now, remember that the conservative wing of my party doesn't want extra privatisation, and I didn't privatise the health, but I did privatise education, so 1 for 1, I guess it's a flip of the coin. If the Conservatives go for it, because the head of the Conservative wing leads a significant portion of my party, if the PFJP go for it and the Conservatives go for it, it's almost certainly going to get through. Alright, what's in the news? Rain meets Richter, that happened, and Richter backs Rain's reforms. Great. Well, all things all, I think we're coasting along pretty well, and there's some definite upsides. So, that's going to be it for today. I'll see you next time, lads.